If you get the chance, people, please watch the video, Why We Fight. It has representatives from the Bush era, a few Army, a few Air Force representatives who, when she was asked, the one female officer, would you let your kids go to the military now? She said, of course not, because it's not about freedom. It's about imperialism and capitalism. And what is happening right now is almost communist, is what it feels like. And I feel that's because America has made a deal with the devil. We're a democratic state. I thought that we could fix the problems in-house, being that we're Americans and we can. But it looks like we have the rich who we're waiting for the Jesus of the rich to sorry, I'm sick. I have the flu. What everybody has right now. I'm just an American. I live in Riverdale. I'm a Spanish American, half Salvadorian, half Puerto Rican. Um, Not racist at all. Don't look at color to be anything other than the people who have shown me any kind of racism. We still live that in the United States. It's not as bold as it was when I was well, let's just say the 70s and before that. At least then they had a hat on their head and you could tell who was the racist. Now they smile in your face and shake your hand and then turn around and talk behind your back. People, I have a 17-year-old, I have a 15-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, and I have a 3-year-old. I have 4 girls. I I'm totally disgusted with what's been going on in the United States with the shootings, and I don't like how they keep out information about Fort Hood on most of these shootings. I mean, that was a military soldier who killed about the same amount of people as Virginia Tech. I don't understand about the video that I've seen. Well, actually, not even the video, just the news. I do understand. I mean, they find an assault rifle inside the the school shooting in his trunk, and of course they use that as an excuse that he was in the school. I don't understand how they caught a guy in the woods with the black and the camouflage that had him sitting in a car. These are all things that people don't seem to understand as an American, that Americans pay attention to that. I don't want to feel like I can't vote because I don't know if I'm voting for the demon or the devil. And sometimes that's how I feel. The life that I've lived, I'm a God-fearing man. I love God. He's where I'm at. He's the reason that I'm here, and with my kids and with my beautiful family. And I wish my dad was here. But my dad told me a lot of things, and a lot of people, in life. I've run into, a lot of officers in military, and I've become close friends. My family is a big Marine family, and of course my sister, she went into the Air Force, so I have a sister in the Marines and I have a sister in the Air Force. Because I wanted to go into the military. If it was 1940, I would have gone in for freedom. Vietnam War, I don't know what that was about. Korean War, I understood that. Democracy, communism, that was the purpose to fight. Um, Iraq, the first Iraq, I understood that. I mean, kind of. The oil men needed their oil. It's like trying to stop the cartel from having their coke. They're going to fight to the death. This is the only thing that, from my point of view, I had a conversation with an officer friend who we were real close, and he said, I was on the drug task force, and I said, well, how does it feel to be fighting a war that will never end? All wars end, and I said, look, don't get mad about this, but you guys need drugs. I remember back in the 80s and 90s, there was more rehabilitation through, exercise or something, and now it's all about, here's your Percocets, and take 2 of these and call me in the morning. I feel like the doctors are the biggest drug dealers in the world. And then, of course, I feel like the officers just don't seem to understand that You guys literally did the saying, if you can't beat them, join them, but in your own way. And of course, that's what they did. They ended up, there's so many more legal jobs for illegal drugs than there are illegal jobs. And a little while back, I made a design for a shirt, and it said, "Thank God for drug trade," because if it wasn't, then half of these guys out here wouldn't have jobs. You know, if you want something to stop, you'll stop it. In my life, I was trained in this when I was younger. My father would have me boxing and running and doing exercise, and he taught me some lessons. He said, if two men fight, the fight shouldn't last long. All right, some people will separate them, but two men will fight. You know, he said if a fight lasts longer than what it should, it's because they're trying to cover up for something. That's what my father told me. And then of course I look at the standpoint from, I mean, Hitler was in Morocco and Africa, and Italy, and Britain, and Russia. He had such a broad control of land, France and England, um, that, and we got him out of there in 5 years, 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, either one. We got him out there, and I feel like our government just makes the most ridiculous choices. I mean, we go to Afghanistan, we're there for 10 years. 10 years. What are you covering? Iraq. What are you covering? I'm not stupid. Those guys who flew their planes on 9/11 into the buildings, they were Saudi Arabian. So basically, let me tell it to you in layman's terms. You had a party at your house. Timmy came over and smacked you in the face. For some apparent reason, you went and beat up John and Peter. Saudi Arabia, 9 or 10 of those guys were from Saudi Arabia. They hate us. But where were we? In Afghanistan. And any military family or you go to the point and become an officer, they teach you that you take a mountain, you take a hill. I mean, these men were posted in the center, down in a ditch, surrounded by mountains, so that they could bring in the fighters. Who trained this? Stupid that is. Makes no damn sense. And then we wonder why men are getting killed. I mean, we're using our own men as bait. They never did that. I mean, men have been used as bait. I've seen it. Ain't no doubt about that. You got a sniper, watching the whole battle of Bastogne and Band of Brothers, and I could understand that. You got to run out. That's his choice. He made his own choice. I talk to most of my friends who come back from war, and they tell me, um, I'm not there for the United States. I need a job. Because jobs are hard to find. And I'm there for the man next to me. I can understand that. I can totally understand that. But I don't think the Americans do. Because America is not really full of just Americans. There are people in this country who hate this country. September 11th, I remember an Arab restaurant that I used to love going to. It was like a hookah bar. And a delicious, falafel bread. And when I went there a few days after September 11th, and they were talking about it still on the news because they talked about September 11th for a while, they cheered. They were happy to see us dying, and they live here. I worked for a Vietnamese gentleman a few years back. He would tell me, I killed you. I would kill you, men. You Americans. When I was a kid, he was a soldier, and I would kill you. And he owns a business here. He would kill Americans. And now I hear that they're trying to get soldiers. A retired Marine told me that there was a form that they wanted them to sign, and they were asking, would you kill an American? Supposedly, a general got demoted because he didn't sign this. But we know that they would kill Americans. I mean, that's the truth of it. I love my country. I love my country. The mountains, the pastures, the ponds, the water, the good people. But I don't think that the politicians truly understand what position they're putting us in. Now they're talking about gun ban. There's more people dying a year from other things than firearms, and no one's putting a stop to any of those things. And you can look that up. Anyone can. You think they're gonna stop people stop selling cars? I'll tell you what they will stop doing. Well, now since the communist countries and Asian countries can sell, they've been selling Nissans and Toyotas, but look at GMC and Ford, how these companies almost went under. Why? Because they don't sell in Tokyo. They don't have these cars over in China. Do you know that the show American Idol that was created by a British guy, and of course Channel 5 is also owned by a British guy. I call it the British takeover because now every show is either British, Australian, Ireland, Scottish. I mean, the millions of Americans who are here can't seem to act. So all the jobs have been taken by the Brits. And not to say that I don't like British people. I'm pretty sure they're good people out there. But that kind of situation where you can't play any American shows in Britain, the BBC is, I guess, all they really watch. I want people to think about that. No weapons of mass destruction, but what's done is done. I feel like Bush is JR and his father was JR's dad. Oil man. Kind of like having coke men, drug men. But think about that, people. I'll be back. You want to hit me up, leave me some info? Tell me. But when you're living under imperialism and capitalism and not freedom, 1940s was one of the biggest military signings because freedom was a purpose to fight for. Hitler was evil. 5 years we got him out there. We were in Vietnam for 10 years for nothing. Those men came back with no love, putting their lives on the line. But in a country that really doesn't care about what happens, you know, how far are we from being Sodom and Gomorrah?